TCU takes care of business and wins tonight. The Frogs are bowl eligible after a 38-13 victory over Oklahoma State. We'll talk about it next here on Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day.
You are Locked On Horned Frogs, your daily podcast on the TCU Horned Frogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right, your team every day. I'm your host, Steven Simcox. TCU wins 38-13 over Oklahoma State. They are now 6-4 on the season and 4-3 in Big 12 play. Let me get this out of the way at the start of the show. Oklahoma State's a bad football team. That was a rough look for them. Now, TCU covered. They handled their business well. They were 11-point favorites in this ball game. They obviously won by more than that. And I didn't know if that would happen. I picked the Frogs to win in my crossover show on Thursday and in my Keys to the Game episode on Friday. But I thought it would be close just because I said, listen, they haven't blown anybody out this year. Now, Stanford's not a very good team. They went on the road to start the season and struggled with them. They blew out Long Island, but we expected that. But this has been a team that has not been able to pull away from folks. And Oklahoma State's had moments. That being said, they did what they had to do. And really, this game was never in doubt. I mean, second half, defense struggled a little bit. In the third quarter, Oklahoma State kind of figured out that they could run on them, especially in that package where they had Ollie Gordon in the Wildcat formation. But the offense was great. Offense was efficient. Another game where they did not turn the ball over. Defensively, I think, honestly, like Joe says, the defense looked soft. Man, I was pretty happy with the defense performance tonight. Just to be honest. Yeah, they got gashed in the second half a little bit running the ball. But with the injuries they have up front right now, I expected a much worse performance, especially just given that even though Oklahoma State struggled to run the ball this year, Ollie Gordon's capable. And the final stats for him, he had 121 yards on 25 carries, about 5 yards a carry. But as a team, Oklahoma State ran for 135, about 4 yards a carry. That's a little skewed because of some sacks. But overall, I thought they looked good in run defense. And, the turnovers were awesome. CB mentioned that. It's glad to see turnovers for once. Yeah, it is. They haven't been able to force them. Bud Clark got a pick. Travis Jackson got a pick late in the game. That was awesome to see. That's one of your young guys that they're excited about on the D-line. I don't think he's going to be getting interceptions every week, but that was a cool moment. Always awesome when you see a defensive lineman drop back in coverage and make a play. They forced a fumble, and they didn't turn the ball over. So they actually won the turnover battle of the day, and that's one of the few times they've done that this season. Richard Berry says Oklahoma State sucks, but TCU has let bad teams have a chance. Yes, that's my takeaway. I think we're moving in the right direction, and that's the key. This is another week where this looks like an improved team. I don't know if 5 weeks ago they could have handled their business like they did tonight, even against a struggling Oklahoma State team. Now, Mike Gundy, I don't know what he's going to say in the postgame presser. It's been a rough week for him. He went on this crazy rant on Monday in his press conference and said that, basically people that complain can't even pay their bills, and he kind of hates the way the media works now and all these things. And it looks like the team's kind of quit on him. But bottom line is TCU came out there and handled their business and won. Joe said, did this win save Sonny's job? I think his job was already saved, honestly. I felt like, with the 2 wins they had over the past few weeks before the Baylor game, I imagine they were going to get to 6 wins, and I thought that was kind of the magic number. I think there's a chance they get to 8. They get 2 weeks off or a week off before they go play Arizona. There's a bye week in between. Arizona looks similar to Oklahoma State right now. They're really struggling. So they should be well prepared and well rested for that, also hopefully healthier. And then you go on the road to Cincinnati. I'm not sure what the line's going to look like for that. I imagine they'll be underdogs, slight underdogs. Cincinnati lost to West Virginia today at home, though. I think both those games are winnable. So there's a chance they get in the season 8-4. And before the season, that's where I had them. I thought the schedule would be tougher than – but you can't predict those things. You just have to sort of beat the people that are in front of you. And they've done that lately, at least in 3 of their last 4 games. losing the Baylor game sucks. But again, I thought they overall played better and sort of continued that tonight. But let's get to the positives. I talked about the defense and forcing the turnovers. Bud Clark gets a pick. That's awesome. They put some pressure on Alan Bowman. Alan Bowman's not very good, but they put pressure on him. They made him uncomfortable. It seems like we are starting to get a glimpse of what we thought this defense could be before the season. Fundamentally sound for the most part, making plays, causing some turnovers, and really like Sonny's teams historically. Now, you'd love to have a defense that's just dominant for 4 quarters. That's obviously what everybody wants. They don't have the personnel to do that right now, but if they can play well in spurts and if the offense is effective, then you're going to give yourself a chance in pretty much every game. And today, they had an outstanding first half. They forced some turnovers. They caused some negative plays. That was great to see. Now, second half, things got a little squirrely in those first couple of drives, but the offense kept their foot on the gas pedal. They traded scores, so you didn't really lose any of the lead. And then the defense came through and made some plays late to ice the game. John Martin said Oklahoma State is just awful. Yes, they're bad. They're very bad. But I think it's cool that TCU got the job done and made it happen. Offensively, another great night from Josh Hoover. From a stats standpoint, 26 of 35, 286 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Another game where he looked very in control. He ran the ball a little bit. Not a lot, but had a few scrambles tonight that was encouraging to see. Only ended up with 1 yard rushing because of a couple of sacks, but made some things happen. Savion Williams, I don't think you can say enough about how much this change for him has just reignited his potential. Because for years, Savion's been a guy on the outside that looks like the prototypical outside wide receiver that everybody wants with that huge frame, and a guy that has the ability to, once he gets the ball in his hands, go make plays. That's awesome to see. But it always felt like there was some meat left on the bone with what he could do, that there was just potential that wasn't being tapped into. Daily Dose of Bread said Savion is such a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, he is. Now, the stats tonight weren't overwhelming, but they got him back in that kind of wildcat quarterback package again. He had 5 rushes for 19 yards, had 7 catches for 52 yards, but he had a touchdown rushing, had a touchdown passing. And we saw another wrinkle tonight with a guy that I'm going to get to later on in the show, and a couple people have mentioned him, that was like, oh, man, this dude is electric, and he is – when we're talking about the future of this program, he makes a big difference. But they had a play where Savion, faked a run, faked a handoff, and then started running to the outside, and he pitched it to Jordan Bailey, and Jordan Bailey takes it to the house, 59 yards to the house. Josh Hoover threw a nice block out there. Eric McAllister got away with an obvious hold. Still not really sure what happened there. Maybe the refs just wanted to go home. But Jordan Bailey, when he got the ball in his hands, you see like that speed and athleticism that just popped off the page, popped off the screen. But it was set up with Savion's, the threat of Savion getting downhill and making things happen. CB said his physicality is a game changer. Yeah, I guess it was maybe was it that same drive where he ran over somebody? I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it was that same drive, the opening play of that drive. He just got outside. Like, it didn't look like there was much of a hole. He got stacked up. The offensive line kind of got stacked up the line of scrimmage. He got to the outside, got a first down, and he just ran over the safety in front of him. And finishing the run was really encouraging to see. Somebody noticed Ryan Hughes was out there at left tackle early in the game behind Harris. Hopefully he can be a solid young option next year. That's Joshua that said that. Yes, for sure. This young O-line, I said this yesterday. I was like, honestly, so much of Sonny's future depends on these linemen they brought in these last few recruiting classes growing up and playing well. Kev says he thought the second team O-line was getting more push on run plays at the end of the game. They were. What I'm encouraged by that. I would also just say you're probably going against the reserve D-line too, and Oklahoma State really struggles in run defense. So that makes a difference. But they get a victory tonight. And, well, before I get to the bowl eligibility part, I'll keep talking about some guys that impressed me. J.P. Richardson, 7 catches for 100 yards. Seemed pretty obvious that against his old team tonight, they were trying to get him involved. And he made some big catches, took some huge hits, and held on to the ball. I think they wanted to get him in the end zone one time. He almost had a score on a little pop pass, but couldn't quite get to the edge enough to score. But he was fantastic. Also receiving, Eric McAllister had a nice day, 3 catches, 41 yards. Savion, 7 for 52. Jack Besh, 5 for 59. Really, everybody was eating. I mean, you see why this Oklahoma State team has struggled so much, because they couldn't slow down this TCU passing attack. Oh, Kev mentioned Cam Cook. Yeah, let me talk about Cam Cook too. He looked great tonight. Not a ton of carries, but when he did get the ball, he was super effective. I think 7 carries for 49 yards, 7 for 47. 2 touchdowns. Also had a nice catch on a 3rd and 11 play where he caught the ball near the sidelines, made a guy miss, which is something that he struggled to do this year, and didn't get the first down, but set up a 4th and 2. They really hit Jack Besh on a slant on the next play on a 4th and 2. Keep the chains moving. I don't know if he earned his starting job back. That's a good question. I feel like at running back right now, they're almost just trying to get to the end of the season, Kev. Like, I don't think we're going to get much clarity one way or the other. Now, maybe the last 2 games, they look at it differently, and they say we're going to ride with Cam because we just want to see what he's got after he's kind of sat back and watched a few guys. But, I mean, they've given Jeremy Payne opportunities. Obviously, they started the season with Cam Cook. They gave Trent Battle some chances, and that continued tonight. But running the ball, they've kind of just gone to this Savion Wildcat package as like their base formation. But it was good to see them run the ball well in the traditional way. Now, again, competition's part of that. I mean, Oklahoma State struggled to stop everybody on the ground. TCU was able to play well, though. And then Jordan Bailey. He had that great one-handed catch against Baylor last week. He also had a catch in the end zone. Or not in the end zone, but he had a catch for a first down against Baylor later on in the game. And then tonight, he took that reverse 59 yards for the touchdown. And you can just tell, man, I mean, he's electric when he gets the ball in his hands. He also had 2 catches tonight for 11 yards. So got involved in the passing game a little bit too. But my goodness, like he hit the edge, he made a move, cut back inside after he ran down the sidelines for a little while, and just ran past the rest of the defense for a touchdown. And they've missed a big play threat like that this year. Major Everhart's been banged up too and hasn't been super involved, but they've missed having a guy in the slot who can just take the ball and go with it. So I'm stoked to see what he does in the next couple of weeks. Joe asked if they could move him to running back. I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe, but I think he's going to be most effective as a dude that plays in the slot and can catch balls over the middle and, get yards after the catch, use them on a screen game, and then also like jet sweeps, reverses, those types of things. But, yeah, when he gets the ball in his hands, he can go, man. Also, another guy that stood out to me tonight that hasn't been healthy for much of the year, but now that he is, it seems like he's making a difference. Javon McIvor. He made some plays. Now, he also had a bad pass interference holding penalty near the goal line, but his physicality just stands out to me. It seems like he's able to use his feet well to stay with guys step for step, and then just is not afraid to jam people with line of scrimmage, get his hands on receivers even after they get past kind of that 5-yard area and go up and make plays. So I don't know if he's going to be like a certified starter next year, but watching him the last couple of weeks, I've been like, man, we could have used him earlier this season. Like just as depth, right? Let's see. Dion says, I thought Bryles called a great game tonight. Yeah, I thought he did too. I thought he called a really good game. And the offense looked good. I mean, I really have no complaints about the offense tonight. couple drives where they stalled out in the red zone. Kyle Limmerman missed that field goal. It's been a tough freshman year for him. So some red zone issues early with some negative plays and just setting up second and third and long. But honestly, I think even though it was kind of touch and go a little bit in the second half, early in the second half, I think the game ended with that great drive before halftime. Like they converted that third and long. They had another long pass to JP. Getting in the end zone and making it 24-0 instead of 17-0, and even 24-0 instead of 20-0, that was a huge deal. Because 17-0, it's like, all right, get in the locker room. I mean, played poorly. I'm talking about Oklahoma State's perspective, but played poorly. But, hey, if we can go down here and get 6 points, score a touchdown early, then suddenly it's a 2-possession ball game, and we'll see what happens. Going down 24-0, that's a little more like, man, this is a rough night. Maybe we pack it in. Now they did come out and score, but because they had that 24-point lead, Oklahoma State tried to chase points on that 2-point conversion. They didn't get it. TCU goes down and scores, and that was really a ball game. But I thought that was a big drive, and I think Kendall's done a nice job really all year, and I feel like that. That switch with Savion being at running back and kind of Wildcat quarterback has been a huge thing. Joe said mathematically TCU can still make it to Arlington with some of the things that happened today. Great. I mean, they're not going to, but that's cool. I haven't looked into the possibilities. I guess you gotta win your last two and get some help, and I get it. Like Iowa State lost, right? Colorado is rolling. They get a victory in Lubbock against Texas Tech, but they're not going to play in Arlington. I mean, like if you want to hold out hope for that, that's fine, but it's not going to happen. I do think finishing 8-4 it would be really good. Okay, let me do a quick ad read, and then we'll get to some other things from this ball game and just beyond. This is Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. Don't forget FanDuel. It's where the game starts. One $5 winning bet gets you $150 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app today. College football, NFL, college basketball, NBA. It's all available to you. FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app. It's where the game starts. Just a quick note, and we'll get back to the game itself. TCU basketball, the men, they won on Friday against Florida Gulf Coast. Women play New Orleans tomorrow, so we'll have some coverage of that on Monday. So that's cool. And, TCU, they're bowl eligible, 6-4 on the season, 4-3 in Big 12 play. I've said this through the week. I'm not going to, hype up bowl eligibility and make it sound like it's a huge deal. And I don't think that should be the standard at TCU. That being said, this program has struggled to get to 6 wins in the past. I mean, obviously 2022 was amazing. But then you come back, you go 5-7. There have been some 5-7 seasons mixed in the last 5 or 6 years before that. So, I know what the schedule is. I get all that. But still, you got 6 wins. You got a chance to go get 8. Richard said 8-4 should be the hope for the season. Yeah, I think it should be. I think that helps you springboard into 2025. So that's all good. Dion says team went crazy for Estrada for the first down at the end. Wonder what the story is there. I'll see if Sonny said anything in the postgame. I assume that's a walk-on that's been there for 4 years and just hadn't had a chance to touch the ball, and that's always a cool moment when that happens. But, I don't have any other insight than that. It was good to see. Going back to Josh Hoover for a minute. Another good game. He looked really in command of this offense. Now, I don't know if it's just as simple as when they play bad defenses, he thrives. But the last couple of weeks, I have – not that I've doubted him, but I've gotten back to a place where I'm like, man, I think you can win with this guy. Because he's still really young. I mean, if we're being honest. He hasn't started a ton of games. He's got a year and a half under his belt, basically. And it's good to see that he's making plays. He's getting more comfortable. And I was encouraged by his play again tonight. He's taking care of the ball better. Still a couple dangerous throws tonight, or just, I guess, throws that I was sort of like, what are you seeing? What's the call here? What are you hoping happens? Because I don't see the vision there. But overall, really good game from Josh again. Ethan says, I'm curious to see who steps up at receiver next year other than McAllister. Yeah, me too. I mean, I think Jordan Bailey's going to be in that discussion. Now, there's some young guys I really like, Jakyle Baker, Braylon James, the Notre Dame transfer. But there will be some opportunities, I think, for some transfers to come into. CB says Baylor's defense is good. He's played good against them. They're okay. Dave Aranda is a good defensive mind. Numbers-wise, they haven't been great this year. They really struggle against the pass. But I thought he did play well in a tough road environment, and that means something. I'll check in here and see if there's any post-game quotes yet as TCU gets a victory and they get to 6-4 on the season. And like I said, I mean, not much for me changed long-term with this win, but I do think it's awesome that they came out and just played at a high level and really took care of business from start to finish. I feel like it's the most complete game they played all season. Like, I can't think of another one where they have just from the first quarter to the fourth quarter played at a high level like they did tonight. Sonny Dykes praised the defense for being able to step up despite missing players like Mark Steele, Cooper McDonald, etc. Yeah, I do think that means something. I mean, this defense is banged up, and I thought that they were going to struggle against this Oklahoma State offense, but they didn't. They stepped in there and made something happen. Sonny Dykes said that the TCU team has gone 2 weeks without a turnover, and that's a major emphasis. He's pleased to see they're making progress in that area. Yeah, man, taking care of the ball makes a huge difference. It does. Like, even if you're not a team that is amazing, if you can just not beat yourself, then you give yourself a chance. And TCU's done that lately. They've cut out the turnovers. They cut out the boneheaded penalties. Is Haas still able to keep his red shirt, Haas Haney? Yeah, I think he's played in 3 games this year. Let's see. He played against Kansas. He played against Utah. And he played against Stanford. I believe that's it. I can't think of another game that he played in. So he's got one more game available. I don't know if they'll throw him out there again, but he should have the ability to play in one more game, and then that'll be it, and he can still keep his red shirt. Dion asked if I have any concerns about the kicker. I mean, it's not working right now. I think Kyle's a freshman, and he's still young and he'll have time to get it figured out. But I thought it would be a smoother transition. I guess I'd say that. I felt like that's a spot where I think you should be able to make the step up. I mean, I know it's a different atmosphere. It's a different level of competition, but it's kicking the ball. So I thought this would be a smoother transition for him. But maybe it's just some jitters, some just freshman growing pains. I've been surprised he hasn't been more consistent, though. I mean, he did hit one tonight, but I thought it would be better than it has been for sure, or just more consistent than it has been. Overall, though, really good win for this team. They're rolling into a bye week now, and hope you get Cooper McDonald back. Hope you get Marcus Steele back. I would love to see this group at full strength or as close to at full strength as we could see them over the last 2 games, just so we can get a feel, or last 2 regular season games, just so we can get a feel for where is this team at? Like, what do they need to work on moving into next year? Those kind of things. Ethan says, any chance Avery Helm stays next year? I believe he has more eligibility now. I don't know what his plans will be. But, yeah, I think there's a chance that he could be back. Maybe a couple of those other corners as well. Vernon Glover should be back from his injury. So there's some bright spots on defense for sure. Just got to keep building on what you can and move forward. And Avery got hurt before the season even started. So I would think he would be motivated to come back and play and prove himself again. So that'll be fun to see. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. TCU wins. They are now 6-4 in the regular season, 4-3. If you jumped in late, this will be able to be replayed here on YouTube soon. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also find us on your favorite podcast platform. Frogs win. Go Frogs. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you Monday as we enter in our second bye week of the year. TCU is bowl eligible for the second time under Sonny Dykes.